What is going on, guys? DBG here, and this is another episode of the series where I rate your squads. So pretty much if you guys want me to rate your squads, follow me on Twitter and pretty much structure your tweets like this. Just tweet me with a picture of your squad with hashtag rate my team, and also explain if possible what type of play you run, and also how much, or what type of team you run, and also how much MT you have left. So it gives me a better idea of suggestions. And yeah, so you see him right here. Okay, so has Odom on his bench. I don't know for who. Running Mike Malone as coach and running Denver's offense. So again, I know nothing about the Denver playbook. If you are running playbooks, I'd say in terms of just getting 5 outsets, Milwaukee's obviously the best. In terms of screen-to-screener plays, Portland is a perfect playbook to use. I have absolutely no idea about the playbook for the Nuggets, so I can't really say much there. But yeah, so team, you've got Harden at the 1. Your backup point guard is Jason Kidd, so obviously you are spending a lot of time grinding up Evo cards, and Jason Kidd's not especially a pink diamond isn't a bad card. T-Mac the 2 is a pretty much perfect card. Jason Tatum at the 3, Bird at the 4, Kareem pink diamond at the 5. Like, the only problem is, again, you got no clamps on Harden. So, I don't know. I think offensively, for his price, you can't get any better than Harden. But again, having no clamps is a little bit of a downside, not going to lie. But, you know what? He is a really good card. And then you've got Larry, who's really good. Kareem's really good. So the starting 5 is probably like a 9 out of 10. Your bench of Jason Kidd, Iguodala fully evoed. I still don't think Iggy fully evoed is as good as someone like a Vince Carter, but I know he does cost a bit of MT. The 3 probably Jefferson maybe, or Giannis at the 4. Giannis or Martin at the 5. Hakeem. You've got too many centers on your bench. I kind of get it that you've got 2 like kind of big man centers and 2 shooting centers, but I'd get rid of one of Chris Bosh or Hakeem, or say one of Chris Bosh or Jokic. And I know you have Lamar Odom. I put Lamar Odom in there. I'd swap. I don't know. I think I'd start Richard Jefferson for Jason Tatum. I'd sell Tatum because he goes for like 2. Actually, no, you have Jokic, so there's no point selling Tatum. So these guys are all locked in, aren't they? Except for Bosh and T-Mac. Alright, so overall, I'm going to give this team about an 8 out of 10 for what it is. I don't rate the bench lineup that highly, but to be honest, look, you obviously have evoed these cards. To evote them up this much, you must have used them an awful lot. So you know a lot more about these specific cards than I do. So I'm not going to say you're wrong with this. I just haven't used enough of them to make that educated opinion. But knowing Jason Kidd's release, knowing the way Iguodala's stats are and the way he plays as a Ruby, which is the highest tier I've used him, I just think there are a lot of better options. So I don't think you should have locked in for Nikola Jokic. You could have saved that 300 or so KMT, and with that MT you could have bought, say, Vince Carter. You could have had Lamar Odom in the squad, who I think might be better than Tatum, and Jokic is not worth locking in. So hindsight's 2020, but yeah, it's not a bad team. Like, it's definitely a usable team, and I could definitely use it. So I'm gonna say 8 out of 10 to win a lot of games. We're gonna pick and pop, a lot of driving kicks, full court press, and have 100k budget. Rate my team. Okay, so you have got. I'd swap Giannis and Lamar Odom on your bench. Run Giannis at the 3, Lamar Odom at the 4. And you know what? Every tip I give for a squad is covered in this team. I'm probably gonna give it, let's say, 9.3 out of 10, I guess. For the price, you can't get much better than Baron Davis, Rondo, and Stockton. Maybe getting rid of Stockton, replacing him with like a Kyle Lowry or Jason Terry, just to save a little bit of MT. But Stockton, you could argue, is definitely better. Josh Smith is really good. Hito Turkoglu is really good. Like, Kobe's fantastic. There's not many changes I can say to make. Like, with 100 KMT, you might as well just wait it out. Like, there's not much better you can get for 100 KMT, and you might as well just keep that money saved up. So yeah, this team is really, really good. So again, another pretty good team right here. Your 1, 2, 3, your starting 5 is pretty much perfect. I really like I'm not a fan of Yao Ming, but I've been torched so much by Yao Ming that I'm never going to tell you to replace Yao Ming. He's one of those players where there's a lot of guys that can really use him. And I know, obviously, he only can take really 2s, can hit wide open 3s, but you know what? He can be one of the more effective players in the game. And for that reason, I think that Yao Ming is definitely worth having in the squad if you're a really big fan of him. If you're not a big fan of him, I would advise you to sell him and go with a faster center. And your bench. So there are 2 glaring flaws in that bench. The first one is Oscar Robertson. And I'm sorry, I know people are saying, you don't need range extender, you don't need range extender. You don't need it on a point guard, but it makes them a whole lot better. Like, having range extender makes a card so much better in this game. And there's a reason why when people are talking about the top point guards in the game, obviously there's the likes of Rose, Arenas, Baron Davis, Ben Simmons is a different animal, or Tony Parker. Rondo's really good. But then you're looking at John Stockton, Kyle Lowry and stuff. Those guys, and Jason Terry, in my opinion, those guys are better than Big O. And yeah, again, especially if you like Rondo, you're going to love Jason Terry. Jason Terry might just be a better Rondo. Well, Rondo without the defense, but better on offense. Your 2-3 are fine, your starters and bench. 4-5 is fine, and your starters. 4-5 is fine, your bench, but what I would suggest is one of those last 3 on the bench, replace them with an out-and-out center. Because while you can definitely get away with running Blake Griffin at the 5, I do it a lot, and it can be really effective. The problem is that it's not always going to work out if you're coming up against a Yao Ming or something, or you're coming up against, say, someone Yao and Mirasan. You're going to have to play Yao every single minute. So what I would suggest, if you only have 30k empty budget, so you know what, just even get a big guy in there that can play a little bit of defense. I just put in a Miles Turner. You don't have to use Miles Turner, just put him in as like a bit of a safety net, because you definitely need a safety net for Blake Griffin. And then if you are set on Oscar Robertson, yeah, with 30k you can't afford Miles Turner and someone else, so I'd save the money, sell Oscar Robertson and pick up a Kyle Lowry or a Jason Terry. Trust me, it's not going to feel much worse unless you're a post-up cheese point guard, or unless you want him for post-up cheese, which I don't think anyone really does because he's not as good in the post as he used to be. So that would be my suggestion. Okay, so 4 out, 1 in with a lot of pick and roll / pops and ISO. Has about 125k MT. So this team needs a good bit of work right here. First of all, I would keep Starks, sell Fultz, put in whatever of Lowry or what's his name is cheaper, Lowry or Jason or Jet Terry. Okay, whichever one of those is cheaper into 1. So that'll be about 30ish, 25 to 30k MT. So sell Bruce Bowen and replace Bruce Bowen with someone that's the same price with Keith Van Horn, Ruby, and Evo. Try to Evo Keith Van Horn up. You'll be able to do that in a couple of hours. Paul Pierce is fine. I would sell Will Chamberlain because I don't think he is anywhere near worth that type of money. Like, if you're looking at Will Chamberlain for that type of price, like, you can get an Embiid who's much better. You can get Ayton who's much better. You can get a lot of cards that are as good as Wilt. Like, Wilt's good, but there are a lot of flaws to that card. So I don't think that he's the best. And then whatever you do not run Bargnani at power forward. Actually, wait. You've got Kirk Heinrich. So just run Kirk Heinrich at point guard. You don't even need to spend the empty. You can sit on that. I just realized you have him. Play him at point guard instead of Fultz. Fultz has got no quick first step or no clamps. Whereas Heinrich is both. And then keep Starks to 2 at the 3. Yeah, again, Keith Van Horn or Marcus Morris. He'll do a good job there. Or there's a few others. Actually, like Danny Granger's good to run there. I don't know what price Kurolenko is, but Kurolenko wouldn't be the worst card in the world to use. First, Moments of the Week Diamond, Tatum. I don't know what price he is either, but maybe one of them in for Bruce Bowen. I really like Dennis Smith Jr., but I would rather have a defender at the 2. So again, pushing Bruce Bowen to 2 might be the worst idea, but at the same time, I would still say I'd still rather use like an Andre Roberson, or actually not even Andre Roberson. I'd still rather use Norman Powell at the 2 instead of Bruce Bowen. But whatever, that's not the biggest deal in the world. Keep Miles Turner, keep Bargnani. You can definitely make a better team for cheaper. I'd say sell Wilt, sell Bowen, and players to buy. You don't even need to buy a point guard because you buy Heinrich at the center position, or you even get a power forward. Get Odom or something. Sell Wilt, get Odom. I think they're the same price, and Odom is way better. I think Wilt might even be more expensive, and Odom will do much more for your team. And like an Odom at 4, Bargnani at 5 will be a much better combo than Wilt Chamberlain at 5, Bargnani at 4. Or if you want to grind out spotlight challenges, what I would advise you do is like sell Wilt Chamberlain and maybe just kind of sell a lot of your players and just try to get enough MT to get that Giannis. And that Giannis will be a game changer. But overall, this team's, even for the not much MT, because Wilt's more expensive than the rest of your team combined, and he may be one of your weak links, I cannot give this team more than like a 5 out of 10. Like, again, you can maybe, like, it's usable. It's usable. You've got 2 Clamps players in your bench, 3 in your starters, and a good defending center. So it is almost usable, but it's not better than a 5 out of 10. Okay, so budget baller or budget ballet. Run a lot of pick and rolls, willing to sell anybody. Okay, so sell Melo. I'm telling you that right now. Sell Evo Hito. That's an important one. Evo Hito. Sell Melo. He's like, without Evo, Hito's weak because he has no defense. With Evo, Hito's a beast. I'm trying to think who to put in to replace Melo. Again, this is a suggestion I've given a few times, but Keith Van Horn and try to evo him up is a perfect player to run the budget squad for a little bit of grind. He's not too much of a grind either. I don't know how I feel about Tobias Harris. I'm trying to think, what way can you sell players to not lose MT and also have a really good squad? So I like Garland as an offensive player, so I'm not going to say get rid of him. Get rid of David Robinson. Trust me, 3rd string center with that much money, there's no point having him. Replace him with Andrea Bargnani. Bargnani does a lot more than D-Rob on the floor. I'd also sell Tobias Harris, and I'm pretty sure he does have range extender, but I would just put in Jonathan Isaac because he's a much better defense player as your starting power forward. I'd probably keep Michael Porter Jr. there as just someone to put in on the end of your bench that can score points in a hurry. And then I wouldn't mind, I don't think it's the worst idea in the world to, because you've got Jason Terry, Exum, and Garland, to just put in like one defensive minded player as one of your last 3 off the bench. So, or one defensive minded player can play point guard. So John Starks is probably a good shout. So sell David Robinson, sell Harris, and buy John Starks and Bargnani. And I'm pretty sure that'll make the team better because you've got 2 different types of centers in Thompson and Bargnani. You got Thompson who's more of a rebounder, then you got Bargnani who's a shooter, so they bring something different. Miles Turner, keep him your starting. Your starting 5 is fine. Your starting 5 is fine. Just Evo Apito. Overall, for how cheap this team is, I'm going to say 7 out of 10, especially if you can Evo Apito. So not the worst in the world. Okay, so usually you run ISO and pick and roll. Not much to it, but I get obliterate on the defensive end. Okay, that shouldn't be happening. But I can probably see why. You've got, if you're not good on defense, you've got no rim protection. Like, while rim protection is not the biggest deal in the world, it's definitely good to have as like a last line of defense if you are struggling. So if you are just struggling on defense, I would take Blake out of the squad. I would take Jokic out of the squad, and I would take AD out of the squad because AD is just too small. You should be able to sell AD. I don't think he locks in for any of those sets. If you had have just if you hadn't locked in for Jokic and you still had enough MT, I would have just said sell Tatum. Actually, wait. First of all, if you are willing to spend 7 or 8 hours grinding, use that MT and get Giannis. Get yourself a Giannis. Maybe sell 1 or 2 of your players a pink diamond Giannis, who's significantly better than the diamond Giannis. Your 1, 2, 3 is fine. I'm not the biggest fan of Frazier, but he's not a bad card, and defensively he's fantastic. Your bench 1, 2, and 3 are fine. I might suggest putting Siakam to the 4 and getting Odom for the 3 off the bench. Because you have Tatum locked in, he's fine to use there. And at your centers position, I would probably suggest, I know it's a major downgrade, but I'd just put in Miles Turner. Like, yeah, like Embiid and stuff are great, but like Turner does almost as good a job. And if you're really looking for rim protection, Turner is a good player to use. And off your bench, yeah, your backup center, like AD can do a bit of a job, but if you're looking for, again, shot blocking centers, you can't really go wrong with like a Embiid or an Ayton as well for kind of cheap. But the first thing I would suggest you to do is to try get a little bit empty and get the ping time with Giannis if you can, but I know it's a lot of a grind. So this team, like, a lot of it, if you're getting obliterating defensive end, I'm trying to make changes, but this is a really good team. Like, this team is a solid 7.5 out of 10. I hate that Giannis, and I think your center position needs a bit of work, but other than that, it's a really nice team, so I'm not going to say anything too bad about it because it's not a bad team. Okay, 470k, mostly pick and roll / pops. So, you know what? There's not much wrong with this team. Is don't do anything and sit on your MT a good suggestion, because like there's a lot of small changes you can make, and these are all like personal preference like type small changes, like getting rid of Russell Westbrook and replacing him with, like, I don't know, Marcus Smart or Donovan Mitchell or even a Jason Terry. But again, that's just personal preference, and I'm not gonna, like, I can't objectively say that any of those are better than Westbrook. It's just for my playstyle, in my opinion, they're better. Your center position is perfectly fine. I would not suggest changing anything, because if you want to make a significant upgrade over Ayton or Turner, you're paying 200-300k for any of the cards. Jaren Jackson Jr., even if you go up to his diamond, you're not getting a significant upgrade. So again, you are perfectly fine with that. Your bench, Norman Powell. If you want a significant upgrade on Norman Powell, you're paying 30-40k MT. And until I'm pretty sure Starks doesn't have quick first step, does he? Or there's a badge that Starks doesn't have, which is kind of important. Yeah, it's not quick first step. So I can't suggest anyone to go in. Like, maybe if you're on the diamond token tier, go and get Isaiah Ryder for Norman Powell. But on the auction house, there's no changes you can make really that'll make the team significantly better. This is a solid 9 out of 10 team right here. Sit on your MT, man. Sit on your MT. Like, the only way you're going to get a significant upgrade on this team is if you spend all of that 400k MT, and it's honestly more worth it to just sit on it. Okay, so this team right here, there's a lot of length in this team, apart from JR, to be honest, at every position. First of all, Simmons, for cheaper Simmons, is probably a good decision. I don't know what the price difference is. I have not checked on console, but should you downgrade your Simmons? If there's a significant price difference, yes. If not, just keep it, because the Simmonses are almost identical, except one is like a plus 15 3 ball. But no one's shooting 3-pointers with Ben Simmons, let's be real. And if you are, fair play. If you hit them, fair play. That's not an effective way of playing the game. Okay, so T-Mac, Ranger. Okay, really good starting 5. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Again, you got no range extender in your point guards, but it's not the biggest deal in the world because you got range extender in your centers. I would not play Tatum at the 4. I'd play Ingram at the 4 over him, because Ingram is that inch taller and a better rebounder. I'm pretty sure he's got a better shot block as well. Your center position is really weak. It's not necessarily weak. I'd sell Bosch though, unless you have him locked in, because he still goes for a lot of MT, and while Chris Bosh is good, he's not a significant upgrade on Andrea Bargnani. I'm sorry, but he's not. Like, that's one of the funny things, is like, a lot of people are looking at the likes of Bargnani thinking he's thinking he's a terrible card, but he's not significantly worse than Chris Bosh. So you can save a lot of MT there, and replacing Bosh with, if you feel like your center position is weak, just run with like Embiid or something, because Embiid will never feel out of place on the floor. Because like, if you feel like Bosh is weak, just put in Embiid. or put in DeAndre Ayton, and you made a massive saving of MT. Again, I don't necessarily think JR is the best option, but he's not bad. Like, you have T-Mac, who's the best 2-guard in the game. You've got... I'm trying to think of other 2-guards that might be usable. You got Granger in there, like Jimmy Butler and stuff, but yeah, JR is probably the best you can get without locking in for Ray Allen. What I would suggest, though, is actually selling one of Ingram or Tatum, whichever one goes for more money, and replacing them with Lamar Odom, because Odom's better than both of them. And then I don't think either of them are worth the price. So you can probably sell both of them and pick up Odin and Bird and make MT. And I think that that's two significantly better players. But like, these are all like slight changes to the team. But this team is like sell Shea for Lillard. That's a tough one, because Shea's a much better defender, Lillard's much better in offense. But this team right here, I'm not going to tell you to sell Shea, but it wouldn't be necessarily a wrong decision if you did it. But I wouldn't say Lillard is the player to use. I'd say sell Shea, and I don't even know who to put in. Like, I'd say Kyle Lowry over Lillard, but I think you might think I'm crazy saying that, because Lillard, even though he has goal clamps, he's not really a good defender. He can't do anything else. But yeah, what I would suggest is sell Ingram and Tatum and try buy Bird and Odom. It'll be a much better 4 or 5 combo, and if you make that change and probably get a bit of MT from downgrading Simmons, you've made probably about 100, 150k MT, and your team goes from right now an 8.5 up to like a 9.5 out of 10. And then, okay, what's the opinion on this squad? You know what, again, Norman Powell's too small to run at the 3. So what I would suggest you to do is start Norman Powell at the 2, or start Heinrich at the 2, and bring Butler off the bench or Hito off the bench, just one of them, because you cannot get away with a 6'4" or 6'3" 2-guard with a 6'4" small forward. You just can't get away with two undersized players there. Exum's tall for the point guard though, so maybe you could mix around the matchups. Starting 5, no need for any changes. Starting 5 is like a solid 8.59 out of 10. Bench leaves a lot to be desired though. So I like Zebo. You can't get much better alternative for extremely cheap. I don't like Kareem. Go get yourself a Miles Turner. If you like Ayton, get yourself a Miles Turner. Miles Turner is basically the equivalent of Ayton. If you like shooters, get Bargnani. And Zebo, as much as I do like the card, I still think Marcus Morris is more effective, because he can defend as well as hit the 3. Zebo is a solid shooter, solid post player. So overall, this team is like a solid 7 out of 10. Not a bad team, but just solid. And last up, we have got run a Flow Freelancer Terry's primary ball handler, only have 8k MT. Alright, so you know what? I'm assuming because this 2k MT Central, you have Hito evoed up. Like, this team is structured perfectly. You've got range extender players 1 through 3. You got clamps players 1 through 4 on both your lineups. You got actually range extender players 1 through 4 on your bench. 8, I'm guessing, is evoed up. You got Embiid and Ayton, which is class combo. You got Josh Smith, who's really good. He doesn't have a range extender, but again, if a card's good enough, they don't necessarily need it. Someone like a Josh Smith or a Paul Millsap would be great. Like, if you can go to the token reward market and pick yourself up a Paul Millsap, that would be perfect. And just like all these squads, Paul Millsap may be the best power forward in the game. But other than that, I can't. For 8KMT, there's no suggestions I can make. There is no changes I can make for you to go cheaper than any of these cards and get a significant upgrade. So a solid 9 out of 10 for this team. Maybe throw in a Bargnani at the end of your bench for like 6 of that 8k, so you get a range extender center, just to use a situational play, but not to not play him 8 games out of 10. But the one game you play him, if someone's using the Yao Ming, just pull him out of the key and shoot deep threes in his face, like just for a situational play again. But yeah, really good team, really solid. I can't suggest anything. But anyway, yeah, that is the video. This is another episode of this video, a series where I rate your squads. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.